So I approached a certain lady. I was trying to convey the message, but she wasn't interested. So I thought of maybe I should just give up. She looked a bit disturbed. I think the ATM was not working, so she was trying to get me to withdraw the money. She asked me if I could help. I said no, I couldn't. I didn't have the ATM card. And then someone assisted her. And afterwards, by that time I was still sharing the message with her. I was trying to explain what we're here for and what is the message that we're trying to share with her. And then in the process, she said, "Can we go shopping? Do you like shopping?" I'm like, look at where it's going. Should I just stay for what?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our very first Dawa Legacies podcast here in iERA, Malawi, with your host Abdullah Panjwani and a very special and truly appropriate guest for today. He graduated from the Malawi College of Accountancy in 2020 as a Bachelor in Applied Accounting, Auditing and Information Systems. Thereafter becoming iERA Head of Operations in Malawi in 2021. Thereafter continuing his progression through life to become the iERA Head of Operations of Africa in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we present to you Firdaus Ulaya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, all good here as well. Alhamdulillah, first guest of the podcast. And what a perfect person to have on it, alhamdulillah.
I'm honored, I should say. I wasn't expecting it, but alhamdulillah, here we are.
Alhamdulillah. Many people over here might know you as like a senior or a leader, but let's go down to like the more relatable youngster, friend, son, husband, just a normal friend, like a youngster, Firdaus Ulaya. What would you do to have fun? Like to just relax, to unwind, to take a bit of a chill pill?
All right. The main thing I do whenever I'm free and that I consider myself to be relaxing would be, first of all, to do with the internet. So I like, first of all, to learn about Islam through the internet, reaching out to the scholars, because things now have been made easy in a way. And apart from that, of course, I also enjoy things to do with technology. So whenever there's something to do with technology, I either like to watch or to learn about it, even though I may not know in detail, but I just like to discover those kind of things. And of course, not to forget spending time with family, which is the most important thing also.
Subhanallah. Any favorite place that you like to go to around Malawi? Any place that likes the most scenic, the most beautiful?
I don't think there's a place more than Mulanje.
Oh, subhanallah, Mount Mulanje.
Yeah, because when you're starting with the T and then you're going on, I think there's also another dam before we go to Ziwalan Kalamba. There's another one. And afterwards, you find Ziwalan Kalamba. Oh, these are like amazing places to view.
Have you been right to the top?
No, not necessarily.
Not yet.
But someone has been pushing me to do that. I'm not yet ready. I'm not a fan of hiking.
I wonder who it must be.
Yeah, you know him.
Yeah, definitely. We know him as well.
Him.
We will definitely get him on the podcast one day. So
inshallah. And don't forget to remind him on that.
No, definitely.
So people get to know.
He's very camera shy, but once he's here, inshallah, we'll keep him for as long as possible.
Inshallah.
Now, moving on to iERA. Okay. What does iERA actually stand for? Some people say iERA, some people say iERA. What does actually iERA? What does it stand for? What are its missions, its values?
Yeah, I understand that. And I remember someone called it LERA. I think because of how it looks with the I. Sometimes whenever it's a capital I, you can differentiate. But then what it stands for is Islamic Education Research Academy. So this is it. The acronym means that.
Okay, and what are the values? What is the mission? From what I saw, it's related to intelligently and compassionately spreading Islam.
Yes.
So like intelligently and compassionately, could you expound on that a bit more? What does it mean to intelligently and compassionately spread Islam?
You know, that is to mean people have been sharing Islam in different ways, but the best way to share Islam is to know it. And also the best way to share Islam is to know how to convey the message itself, to learn how the Prophet did it and then you do it. So that's why it focuses on the issue of doing it intelligently. Others do it, but then the problem is they don't do it in the way that it should be done. And then when you mean compassionately, is also about having that feeling for others, you know, having that mercy for others to go out there and then to share the message of Islam with that compassion itself. I think the way it describes itself, yeah?
Right, intelligently and compassionately.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what iERA does. They care about humanity. So they go there, they share the message of Islam, but not just to share, but they share it with intelligence also.
What has been your first exposure to iERA? When was the first time you actually interacted with them or met them or got involved with them?
I remember I was still in school. I had a friend who, whenever there was something that is to do with Islamic functions, would go there. That was it for us, especially on the weekends. Then I saw a poster which was discussing about Jesus in Islam. So I said to myself, I've heard a lot about Jesus, but most of the times it's to do with the Christians. But now these are the Muslims. Let me go and hear a lot about that because of, even though I've recited the Quran, but I didn't feel like it was enough, you know. So I went there because I didn't find what I was expecting. I found the da'wah happening, which was even also amazing than I had thought, you know. So we spent our time there with my friend. I think that was in 2018 to 2019, somewhere around there. If it's 2018, then it has to be at the end of 2018. So that was the first encounter. But on that time, I just met some brothers, some Malawian brothers. And afterwards, I met them again. Now this was more closer when we were conducting our training, an iERA training at Malawi College of Accountancy. So we hosted them. And by that time, I was a leader for the Muslim Student Association.
SubhanAllah, mashallah, that's great to hear.
Yes.
So I actually remember our first encounter and interaction. That was in 2019.
Yes,
Still got the messages on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And I believe that was when we were planning to host the iERA were planning to first host a program at Malawi College of Accountancy, right?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was like a GoRap training methodology?
Yes, exactly. That was a GoRap.
And inshallah, regarding the GoRap methodology, we will expound on that a bit more, inshallah, hopefully as the episodes go along, inshallah. So stay tuned for that. Now, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of different things throughout your 3 years, tenure, or even longer here with iERA or in the da'wah scene generally.
Yes.
Out of all of these episodes, out of all of these incidents, everything that you've encountered so far, what is one incident that stands out? One that you just remember and it makes you go like, wow, that actually happened.
All right. Of course, we do da'wah in the villages mostly, but also do da'wah in the city. This was the time when I was volunteering because, of course, official years has been 3 years, but then I think there was 2 years which I was just volunteering for a year. So I was a ShopRite. We were sharing the message of Islam. That was also my first time sharing the message of Islam. So I approached a certain lady. I was trying to convey the message, but she wasn't interested. So I thought of maybe I should just give up. She looked a bit disturbed. I think the ATM was not working, so she was trying to get me to withdraw the money. She asked me if I could help. I said no, I couldn't. I didn't have the ATM card. And then someone assisted her. And afterwards, by that time I was still sharing the message with her. I was trying to explain what we're here for and what is the message that we're trying to share with her. And then in the process, she said, can we go shopping? Do you like shopping? I'm like, look at where it's going. Should I just stay for what? But then I insisted. We went. She was shopping. She was looking at this shoe, another shoe. And at the end, after the shopping had ended, she said, I was listening to whatever you were saying. And I'm thinking about it. And she explained all the things that she has been looking at, other religions, how she's been comparing them, and how she's looking at Islam. And she said she's going to think about it. Of course, she didn't accept the message of Islam, but when I look at it, it was as if this person was not listening. And these things happen even when you go to the villages. You are sharing the message of Islam, but you start to feel maybe these people are not listening. I think you shouldn't have that assumption whenever you're sharing the message of Islam. Don't come with pre-assumptions. Just share the message and assume that the person is listening. Always assume the best. So I think this was the whole lesson for me. I just share the message of Islam. I don't care if the person looks like he's not listening or not. That's not my thing. The most important thing is that I deliver the message.
That sounds amazing, mashallah. It must have been even more special. Which year was that in, by the way? Any idea?
I believe that has to be 2019.
2019.
Because it was just after the training at Malawi College of Accountancy, that's when I started to volunteer. We were doing exhibitions, should I say, or street da'wah at ShopRite. So that was the time.
Alhamdulillah. And then we moved into this iERA office here in 2000 and was that 21?
Yeah, 2021.
2021, mashallah. And like out of the whole office vibe, how would you define just generally here in the iERA offices, when it comes to the whole iERA team, is there any like one word or any phrase that you feel could define the vibe here, the atmosphere? Alhamdulillah, majority of the time whenever I do come, I always feel really welcome, always warm, alhamdulillah, always greeted comfortably. So what one word would you say is a vibe that could define the iERA officers?
I think maybe I would just call it Islamic.
Islamic, subhanallah, that encompasses everything.
Yes, because to be honest, I think I've learned a lot here than maybe I've done in madrasa because of the people that are around us, the things that they teach us, things that they correct us. There are a lot of things to tell you that I've been corrected and I've been taught in the process, not only about da'wah, but even on the general perspective of the religion of Islam itself. So we benefit, and always when we're interacting, it's mainly to do with that. So I enjoy it. That's why I'm just saying Islamic.
Alhamdulillah, it's perfect clear, mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Now, generally, when it comes to iERA, when it comes to the da'wah work, is there any one particular advice you would have for anybody that wants to begin work with an Islamic organization or with a da'wah organization, whether it be iERA, whether it be anybody else? What one advice do you feel you could give to somebody that's joining or starting an Islamic organization?
I would just say it's challenging, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Because to be honest, there are a lot of hours spent into these things. I remember in the beginning when I was starting iERA, as in Malawi, it was hectic. There was a lot of work going on, a lot of hours. But even now, it feels as if we're also studying iERA. So that's it. But it's worth it because at the end of the day, you're benefiting in this world, and also you're benefiting in the what? In the hereafter. So I enjoy it. Sometimes I think of myself, let me be honest with you, sometimes I feel, what if I leave iERA? Like I go and join another organization, maybe an Islamic, not Islamic organization, right? The other organizations that are out there.
Right.
But then I feel empty when I think about that because I'm like, okay, this is an environment whereby we remind each other about Islam. As I've told you that we learn through each other. So why should I leave this place? Because I'm benefiting. Sometimes, let me be honest, sometimes it gets tiring.
Definitely.
There are a lot of tasks, a lot of things that are happening. It doesn't matter at times, it's even maybe on a holiday, but you have to work on it because you understand that the ajr is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, that's it when it comes to iERA.
That actually reminds me of a beautiful Quranic verse that فَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that we continue to remind, however difficult it might be, but just continue because verily the reminders benefit the Muslims, benefit the mu'mins.
Yes, exactly. That's what's happening in iERA.
Now, if somebody wants to not only enroll themselves in any other organization, Islamic organization, but if they want to learn more about how iERA perform their operations, how iERA do their online work or their on-the-ground work, is there any place that they can find more resources and material about iERA, or is there any way that they can find some training material for iERA?
Yes, there is. iERA has trainings. If they go to iera.org/training, then they'll find all these trainings. So there's the Dawah training, there's the new Muslim mentorship training, whereby if someone has accepted Islam, you have to mentor him, you have to teach him the basics. And also there is Christianity training, whereby you get to understand Christianity very well so that you can articulate when you meet Christians also. So that's the place they can go to, I believe. But when it comes to, let's say, updates, then we have WhatsApp. There's a channel, I believe. And also we're on Facebook and all these social media handles whereby they can follow what is happening with iERA.
Right. So that's iERA.org/training, correct?
Yes.
I'm sure our awesome team behind the cameras and in the office will be able to link it or have it somewhere in the edit. It'll probably be somewhere around here, inshallah. They'll have it somewhere.
And in case we have made a mistake though, correct?
Definitely, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Since this is our first podcast, there's a lot of things, there's a lot more things we would like to talk about. But this is the kind of podcast that I feel can go to a lot of places, inshallah. And it's the kind of podcast that can reach many homes, many different places, many different audiences, inshallah. When it comes to iERA in general, when it comes to our da'wah scene, when it comes to the villages and the city, do iERA operate in both? Is there any one particular place that they operate? How does it work?
Operate in the city, but then the operations are not that big in the city. It's a bit hectic in the city, I would say. So we still have a small team which focuses on training people. It focuses on going into different places, schools and everything to train and also to share the message of Islam, work also with volunteers. But our main operations are in the villages where we have numbers of people sharing the message of Islam over there. So we are in both, I would say.
Alhamdulillah, that's brilliant to hear, mashallah. There's so much more I'd love to talk to, and I'm sure with yourself being in iERA for the past 3 years And definitely, inshallah, we will get you on a lot more later on. Since this is our first one, we're trying to keep it nice, short, sweet, concise, compendious, inshallah. And hopefully, inshallah, this will be the first of many more episodes with this Da'wah Legacies podcast. Is there any last words you feel would be appropriate for the audience? Or let's put it in this way, since this is our first podcast, and since we've called it Da'wah Legacies, let's try to ask a question that will be more appropriate to the name of Da'wah Legacies. Apart from Iman and apart from a correct Aqidah, is there any one quality you feel, or which one quality do you feel a person would be able to leave the best legacy for all the future generations?
All right, I think that's a difficult question, but I think I have something, because you have opened the door, right? The most important things, you have already mentioned them. I'd have mentioned those. But then one of the things I think that should be there is truthfulness. You go to Abu Bakr, he's also called what? As-Siddiq. So that's something which is going to go for generations as a legacy also. Because if you look at these people, if you look at Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, you find the same thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that his name is going to what? Is going to continue to be remembered. He made a dua even, you know. So I think we have to be trustworthy. And apart from that, maybe I should give an example. I don't know if that would allow me, but one of the things that made me join iERA, of course I made iERA, but still, one of the things that was there that had made me reach to this place would be because of being truthful. Just one thing that led me to this, to be honest. Of course, I don't want to mention in general, in detail, but then in general, I'd say it was a small thing that led me to this, because I was truthful in that, and then here I am. So it could be truthfulness with people, but also, most importantly, it is to be truthful with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I would call it ihsan, by the way. That is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him, and even if you cannot see Him, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you. So we need to be truthful in whatever that we're doing, and to purify our intentions in whatever we do.
SubhanAllah, truly, really wise and special advice, mashallah.
I didn't know that it would be wise, but anyway.
Alhamdulillah, it's the kind of wisdom that I'm sure many people can benefit from, whether young, whether old, anything in between. I'm sure everybody will benefit from that, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This has been your host, Abdullah Panjwani, with our special guest, Firdaus Ulaya, and this has been Da'wah Legacies. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.